Broadcast media is regulated by the FCC, a government agency originally set up to protect the public interest. Today, that regulatory body promotes deregulation, more power to media moguls. The head of the FCC justifies media concentration on the grounds that only big companies can cover a war like the one in Iraq.
Just before the war in Iraq began, American media companies began lobbying the FCC for rule changes that would benefit their bottom lines. There was a question raised. Did the FCC agree to waive the rules if the media companies agreed to wave the flag?
You don't go in and report critically on an administration that you hope will give you billions and billions of dollars in new policies.
We've been in this business long enough to be very careful, but I'm sure they were working for a deal, and we're hoping that being supportive of the war would get them the deal. Remember what Rupert Murdoch did when he was in China. He was the only one defending China, despite all the abuses of human rights, because he was working on a TV deal with, which he eventually got in China.
The reason the coverage, in part, was so tepid, was so timid, was because these same media companies like News Corp, Fox, GE, NBC, Viacom, CBS were trying to curry favor to win the support of the Bush administration for this huge giveaway on media ownership.
This is not something that happened yesterday. It didn't happen overnight. It's been going on here in the United States for about 2 decades at least. And it's been a process. It's been an organized, concerted, thought out, well-planned, and well-executed process.
I, Ronald Reagan, do solemnly swear.
Going back to the Reagan administration, flowing through the first Bush administration, and now being picked up successfully so far by the second Bush administration.
Power generally, not just media power, power tends to go with power. Primarily, they want to support whoever's in the White House. They want to support government. They want to support other large corporate interests. They don't want to rock the boat, generally.
This is a plan. It's a plan. It's not serendipitous. It doesn't happen accidentally. It's what they want. They want to be able to control the political discussion.
Who was the FCC commissioner with whom they were trying to curry favor, who was acting on their behalf during this period? It was Michael Powell, the son of Colin Powell.
The evils of media consolidation will never get past our fortifications.
I think it was very clear that the major media companies in this country had business before the government. Boom, it's a conflict of interest.
In my day, there was really a wall between news and the rest of the organization.
It becomes sort of a you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Did you see any coverage on television about the whole controversy, about the FCC and the new rules? I mean, there was hardly any to speak of. There must have been some somewhere that I missed, but it was so minor and so ineffectual in terms of informing the public what's going on.
Well, people need to try to take back the airwaves. They need to try to restore democracy to the airwaves.
Iraq quickly became the apocalypse I feared, as ghosts of the crimes of Vietnam seemed to be coming back to haunt us. All over the world, people came to see the United States not as heroic liberators, but brutal occupiers. I found these graphics stenciled on the walls of Barcelona. I saw how media outlets suppress scrutiny of policies, preferring to show images rather than expose interests. Major media covers the world through the eyes of those in power, downplaying the brutal impact of war and its own role in promoting it. In July 2004, a Senate committee blasted the CIA for misreporting on WMDs in Iraq. It criticized what it called groupthink. Couldn't the same phrase be applied to other WMDs, media weapons of mass deception?
The lesson is, don't trust the mainstream media. If you want to really find out what's happening, you can't be a news consumer. You have to be a critical thinker.
TV is not the same. It's not the same medium it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You don't really have the luxury of providing detailed analytical coverage of a war. You basically get an eyeball shot and that's it.
It's one thing to talk about this war, but as you look to the future, if you didn't like this, you're really not going to like what's going to come down the road the next time.
Just as there's an investigation now into the failure of the intelligence community, we need an investigation into the failure of our journalistic community.
Media hasn't really been taken to task at all. There is no global watchdog that's saying you didn't do your job well. Media people seem to be more comfortable repeating the words of politicians, repeating statements that come out in press, etc., than actually probing and trying to find out what it really means. Is it true? Is it true?
Can we fight back against deceptive news and massive media concentration? Can we fight back against jingoism posing as journalism? Can we afford not to fight back?
Should they, use Moab, the mother of all bombs?
I joined the media to spotlight the problems of the world, came to see that the media is one of those problems. I believe in freedom of the press, but not just freedom for those who own the press. What can we do to hold the media more accountable? Think about it. Now I've had my say. It's your turn.
Withers or your guesses. The whole thing's being treated like infotainment.
The outcome is assured.
This is a spectacle for consumption.
They don't report anything that is in any way critical of Bush. And that's worse than Goebbels in World War II. And I'm from Germany. I know how Goebbels treated the war. You should be ashamed of it.
Sounding applause, President Bush declared the major combat had come to an end.
My fellow Americans, major combat operations in Iraq have ended. In the Battle of Iraq, the United States and our allies have prevailed.
I need to know the honest truth. I need to know. I cannot help